In the annals of history, few names evoke such a chilling blend of power and brutality as Joseph Stalin. From the ashes of the Russian Revolution, Stalin rose to become the dictator of the Soviet Union, ruling with an iron fist for nearly 3 decades. His reign, marked by a ruthlessly repressive ideology known as Stalinism, left an indelible mark on the country and its people. Stalinism, in its essence, was a totalitarian system that demanded absolute control over all aspects of society, from the economy to the very thoughts of its citizens. This essay delves into the dark legacy of Stalinism, exploring the hardships endured by millions under his oppressive regime. Stalin's rise to power was a gradual but calculated process marked by cunning political maneuvering and the systematic elimination of rivals. Once firmly in control, he unleashed a wave of terror that would grip the nation for years to come. Through a combination of propaganda, surveillance, and brute force, Stalin sought to reshape Soviet society in his own image, crushing any dissent or opposition that dared to surface. The consequences of his policies were devastating, leaving a trail of broken lives, shattered families, and a nation grappling with the trauma of his rule. The horrors of Stalinism serve as a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked power and the fragility of human rights in the face of tyranny. By examining the key aspects of this dark chapter in history, we can gain a deeper understanding of the human cost of totalitarianism and the importance of safeguarding freedom and democracy against all threats. The lessons learned from this era remain as relevant as ever, urging us to remain vigilant against any form of oppression and to fight for a world where the rights of every individual are respected and protected. At the heart of Stalin's reign of terror lay the purges, designed to eliminate any perceived threats to his authority. These purges targeted a wide range of individuals, from high-ranking officials to ordinary citizens. Victims were subjected to torture, forced confessions, and sham trials. The Great Purge stands as a chilling testament to Stalin's paranoia and cruelty. Millions were accused based on flimsy evidence or mere suspicion. The purges created an atmosphere of fear and distrust. The impact on Soviet society was profound, decimating intellectuals and military officers. The purges were about consolidating Stalin's power and creating a climate of fear. By targeting both real and imagined enemies, Stalin silenced any potential opposition. The arbitrary arrests instilled a deep sense of terror among the population. The purges had a devastating impact, eroding trust and suppressing creativity. The fear and paranoia left a lasting legacy of trauma and suspicion in the Soviet Union. Beyond the terror of the purges, Stalin's policies also had a devastating impact on the Soviet countryside. In the late 1920s and early 1930s, he launched a radical program of agricultural collectivization aiming to transform the traditional peasant way of life and boost agricultural production to support his ambitious industrialization plans. This policy involved forcibly consolidating individual peasant farms into large state-controlled collective farms known as kolkhozes, where farmers were expected to work collectively and surrender their produce to the state. The collectivization drive, however, proved to be a catastrophic failure, leading to widespread famine and immense suffering in the countryside. Peasants, fiercely independent and resistant to giving up their land and livestock, were often met with brutal force and repression. Many were labeled kulaks, wealthy peasants deemed enemies of collectivization and subjected to deportation, imprisonment, or execution. The forced collectivization disrupted traditional farming practices, leading to plummeting agricultural output, grain confiscations, and widespread food shortages. The most devastating consequence of collectivization was the Holodomor, a man-made famine that ravaged Ukraine and other grain-producing regions of the Soviet Union from 1932 to 1933. While Stalin's policies undoubtedly contributed to the famine, he cynically blamed the disaster on sabotage by Ukrainian nationalists and continued to requisition grain from the starving population, exacerbating the crisis. Millions perished from starvation and related diseases, marking one of the most horrific atrocities of the 20th century. The collectivization drive and the ensuing famine had a profound impact on the Soviet countryside, decimating the peasantry, disrupting traditional ways of life, and leaving a legacy of trauma and resentment. The forced collectivization not only failed to achieve its intended goal of increasing agricultural production, but also resulted in a dramatic decline in food production and the loss of millions of lives. The Holodomor in particular stands as a stark reminder of the human cost of Stalin's policies and the brutality with which he implemented his vision for a socialist utopia.